Greetings Assassins, Wayne here and welcome to another video. This video was originally going to be discussing more ideas that I thought would be cool to see implemented in future installments of Assassin's Creed multiplayer. However, over the last week since the announcement of Assassin's Creed Syndicate, we've come to learn the sad and tragic truth that Syndicate will not have a multiplayer. It won't have a PvP component, it won't have a co-op component. Syndicate is a single player game only. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm devastated, I'm a bit gutted. I was so sure, I was so adamant, like deep down in my bones I believed that multiplayer was going to be in Syndicate. And yeah, I would like to apologise because at the end of the day I was wrong and I stood by my ground unflinchingly so that Syndicate was going to have a multiplayer component, and at the end of the day I was proven wrong. But even during that initial announcement of Syndicate, there were still many conflicting reports and quotes and questions regarding multiplayer, PvP or co-op within Syndicate. And it took Yves Guillemot, the head of Ubisoft, to come out and hit the nail on the head and say, it's going to be a single player game, there will not be a multiplayer mode in this iteration, and that's because they wanted to make sure the single player is excellent. And I understand that. I understand why they would want to make sure Syndicate single player is perfect, because let's face it, there's a lot riding on it. Because of the failings of Unity, they have so much to prove with Syndicate, and if Syndicate is busted, buggy, or doesn't work out of the box day one, it could hurt Ubisoft and potentially cripple the Assassin's Creed franchise, you know, because of how bad Unity was at launch. And yeah, like, there's a lot riding on it, so I completely understand from a business perspective why they would want to make sure this single player is perfect. But at the same time, when you follow that notion, you begin to think, was that always the case? You know, they didn't think Unity was going to be that bad and that broken when they were making it, you know, during the early days. So there must have been plans, or there might have been plans for co-op and multiplayer in Syndicate. I mean, look at Jacob and Evie. Jacob and Evie in Syndicate scream co-op gameplay, you know, two-player co-op gameplay. It screams it, it begs for it. And more than Unity ever did with Arno and the copies of himself. And you begin to think, was it dropped, you know? Was co-op, multiplayer, one, the other, or maybe both dropped from Syndicate to refocus their efforts on making sure the single-player experience of Syndicate was nothing short of perfect? And the truth is, we just don't know. We don't know what the situation was internally at Ubisoft after Unity was released, up until the build-up and the announcement of Syndicate, and we just don't know what went on internally and what the plans were and what they've been turned to. And to add on top, we still don't know what Annecy's role in Syndicate is. I mean, Annecy, as we know, is the multiplayer studio. They have made the Assassin's Creed multiplayer since the beginning, 2010, with Brotherhood, and they're involved in Syndicate, which is a single-player game. Now, I'm not saying Annecy can't work on a single-player game. They have the expertise, they have the experience. They made Monteriggioni in Assassin's Creed 2, and they made the home hub, the mansion, in Assassin's Creed Unity. So they have the expertise and the experience to work on single-player stuff, but deep down in their bones, in their core, they're a multiplayer-focused, you know, studio. They've made the Assassin's Creed multiplayer element since day one, 2010, with Brotherhood, and they worked on Splinter Cell beforehand. And even now, it was announced that Annecy are working on the Division, and now that works because Annecy's multiplayer expertise works well to support the Division and the multiplayer PvP and MMO elements that are in that game. Annecy's expertise works well to support the Division, but their multiplayer expertise doesn't work to support Syndicate because it's a single-player game. So what is their role? What are they doing? And were they working on a multiplayer beforehand? Were they working on a multiplayer over the last 2 years, and then it was dropped, and the assets and the maps and the animations and everything were just retooled and repurposed for the single player? Now, that's a bold statement, the idea that the multiplayer was in the works and it was dropped from Syndicate. That's a bold idea in theory, but because we don't know really what's going on in terms of the multiplayer present or future, you begin to think silly things like that, and you begin to wonder what is going on. But we know for a fact that something is coming, because Yves Guillemot also said in the Polygon interview, he said, and I quote, "We don't know and we can't say yet. We know, but we can't say yet about what will happen next." So we know they have plans, we know that there are things in motion, the cogs are turning in relation to Assassin's Creed multiplayer, whether it's PvP or co-op, but our best guess is the best, speculation anyone can come up with. Could multiplayer be added to Syndicate after launch, as DLC? Could we see a standalone announcement at E3 2015 this year? Or are we just going to have to wait until next year, the next Assassin's Creed game in 2016 to get a multiplayer? At the end of the day, we just don't know. And just to be clear, I'm not saying we deserve to know that a multiplayer is coming. We are not demanding to know that a multiplayer is coming. Entitlement is a very dangerous thing in video games, and we as a consumer are not entitled to know whether a multiplayer is coming. It is a service, it is a luxury, it's just a luxury we are very passionate about. But yeah, we are not entitled to know whether a multiplayer is coming, but I think it would just be nice to just be given a hint or a clue as to what's going on with the multiplayer, to put people's minds at ease, throw a bone to those passionate players that have stood by the multiplayer since day one, played them all, enjoyed them, still go back and play them. Those who really do care about the multiplayer and the Assassin's Creed brand, who really do care about this game and really do care about the multiplayer and want to see it be a masterpiece, that we still want to see the perfect multiplayer where no one has a problem with it and it's constantly supported and it's got great content, great maps, great modes, great servers, and it's the masterpiece multiplayer. And again, we are not entitled to know whether or not that will ever be made. We are not entitled to know whether a multiplayer is coming. I just think it would be nice, and it would be just a nice little thing to know, a little tease or a little hint or an update regarding the present or future course of the multiplayer. But yeah, at the end of the day, multiplayer isn't going to be in Syndicate as far as we're aware. For all we know, it could be revealed at E3 and the whole thing was a big troll and just a cloak and dagger to throw us off the scent. We just don't know. But, at the end of the day, I'm still going to be making videos. I will still play the previous Assassin's Creed multiplayers, and I still will play the main games, because Assassin's Creed, I love the hell out of it, and it's a great franchise, and I do enjoy it, and I hope Syndicate, with or without multiplayer and co-op, is a good game. And yeah, anyway, I'm going to call it there. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you think the multiplayer was there and dropped? Do you think it was planned for Syndicate at all? Is there a standalone in the works, or are we just going to have to wait until the next game? Let me know what you think in the comments below, because I really do want to know. Until the next one, take care and be safe. Love you all, Assassins. We're out. Peace.